Well, welcome back to Say What with James and Lakesia.
Say what?
And we are here to give you guys our mini reviews and rankings for the movies that we saw in the theaters in April.
Yeah.
And some of these movies blew our minds, but
we liked pretty much all the movies we saw. They all were pretty good.
Yeah, so we are here ranking.
One was great.
Every movie we saw in April. Hey, spoilers are included. And make sure that you like the page or like the video and subscribe to our channel. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, make sure you like the page. So if you love movies, real reactions, faith, family vibes, and honest reviews, make sure, again, you subscribe to this channel. And kicking it off or starting us off with number one, because what we do is we do the reviews in order that we watch them in the theaters.
The best out
at the end. But we review the movies based on how we watch them in the theaters. So up first is Project Hail Mary. Hey, this was a great movie. I love Ryan Gosling. One thing I will say about this movie is that it was long.
It was definitely long. I don't think it was great. It was a good movie.
But hey, I didn't say it was great. I just thought it was a good movie. I know he's a great actor, but we have Ryland Grace, who starts out as a middle school teacher. He gets forced into this impossible mission to save humanity. It's crazy because he is forced into this mission, and basically the earth is dying because the sun is dimming, and scientists discover this microscopic organism called the astrophage. It's draining the sun's energy. So the memory loss storyline worked well. Spoiler, because we learned everything alongside with Grace, but we're going to talk about the real MVP. And it kind of made the movie a little bit kiddie to me at first when they introduced the character of Rocky.
A little giddy. He got giddy.
Yes.
See, that's where I think if it had been a different looking, in my opinion.
The way he looked.
Yeah,
the way the character looked. Because basically. He was
just a rock. He basically looked like a rock.
Well, basically, Ryan Gosling wakes up. He's on the spacecraft. All alone. He doesn't know how he's got there. He doesn't know what happened. And the other members of the crew are no longer with him.
Yeah.
They have passed away. But then he comes along beside another aircraft and is trying to communicate with him. And that's where the character Rocky is introduced. And I mean, the character just looked kind of kiddie. But
yeah, it was a rock.
And they develop a friendship, and it actually had to carry the movie. It was revealed that the Earth only had about 30 years left.
So they was trying to come up with a solution with that to keep. But not only was the Earth was in danger, so was Rocky's
planet.
Yeah.
And Grace, again, he was forced on the mission. Rocky has survived alone for decades, and then the Tambia, I can't even remember how it's pronounced because it's been a while since we watched it.
But let's say this too. We didn't say this. This mission was like a one-way trip because they weren't coming back.
And that's why he had to be forced into it, because the other people that were trained for it, when they went up, it was an accident. He was a
specialist. He was pretty much a specialist in that. What was the whatever they called it?
The astrophage or whatever. But they had people that were trained to go on this mission. At the beginning, spoiler alert, and their ship blew up or whatever. I can't really remember all of that. But because he had trained them and he was already so knowledgeable, and it was important, it was imperative that they went at the time they went, they forced him to go.
Yeah. And being forced by pretty much drug him.
Well, they made him go. He didn't have a choice. He was running. So, but at the end, Rocky had basically helped him because it was a one-way mission because he wasn't going to have enough fuel to make it there and back.
Come back.
But Rocky was able to provide him with fuel. But in the process, he learned that Rocky's civilization was going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
So he had to make a choice of either saving himself, getting himself back to Earth, or saving Rocky. And he decided to do that. And it actually ended with Grace giving up home to save another civilization, and he was actually teaching on that planet, and they had little mini Rockies.
Yeah.
So
that's where the kitty part was at.
Well, Rocky altogether, the character,
but
look,
don't let us
discourage you,
because a lot of people thought this was one of the best. If you look at the media and on TV and stuff, a lot of people think it's one of the best movies this year.
Yeah, it was. It was a good movie.
It was good, straight.
So
just long.
Yeah, it was definitely long, and that's one of the things that we look at is the length of the movie. So up next we have movie number 2, The Hunting of Matthew Nichols. We never heard anything about this movie. Did we even see any previews? Because you guys know where we decided to develop this channel from is because we have a love for the movies. We've had a love for the movies ever since we were dating. Yeah. And that was since 93 or whatever. But we've had a love for the movies, and we decided to put our love for movies on a video and share it with you guys, because a lot of people, we go to the movies every week, so they don't do that. So hey, why not do something we love and make it fun? But I don't think we saw a preview for this movie, did we?
Didn't. I mean, it was just a movie. We had seen everything else that was there.
So it's like, hey,
we just read what it was talking about. We said, well, we'll just go see this.
Yeah, so this is The Hunting of Matthew Nichols, and this movie was
kind of like
disturbing, but James,
it was like the new Blair Witch. It was kind of a mix of Blair Witch and a crime story.
Yeah, it was like the Blair Witch Project mixed with true crime with demonic horror.
Yeah.
Okay, so this movie follows Tara investigating the disappearance of her brother Matthew and his friend Jordan from 2001, and this was in Canada. I think this was another Canadian film.
Was it Canada? I can't remember, but it was like a You know how the Blair Witch was like a documentary style movie.
Yeah,
a documentary.
Yeah, this was in Canada, I do think, and it did turn into something dark. We had Tara, and she went to get these missing. She went to get some evidence that was turned over.
People she knew.
Well, the evidence was turned over from the police department because they were done, I guess, investigating the case. And she had 2 friends that were helping her make a documentary on this. So
they were talking about the 2 boys that went missing.
Yeah. So you actually ended up seeing that there was some occult ritual footage. There was basically one of the tapes ended up missing. They found, was it the VHS camera that they found? They found something. And she ended up finding out that one of the tapes was missing. She wanted to go to this cabin in the woods, and the investigator was discouraging her. So they ended up getting the missing tape. They was
telling them there wasn't no cabin out there.
Well, they was telling her that the cabin had been destroyed.
Sure, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
The cabin. So she ended up getting the missing tape, spoiler alert, and they ended up finding out that Matthew, because they were into like some occult stuff, they was into some demonic type stuff.
Boys,
and it was on Halloween when they ended up going missing. But Matthew ended up murdering Jordan. And then for some reason, she goes and jumps in the river, try to kill herself.
He was possessed kind of from whatever that entity was.
So they should have just went back home. She ends up convincing one of the guys to go back out into the woods with her to look for this cabin that wasn't there. And just like Blair Witch Project, the cabin mysteriously appears. And then you have just all kinds of stuff going on. A tree appears with some hanging bodies.
Because they drug her. Remember, they drug her off when they was out.
They were in their tent and it ended up, they shouldn't even been out there.
They took her.
And
then the one guy wants to run after, and that's when they came upon that tree.
Yeah,
and all the bodies hanging in the tree.
And the fact that they never fully explain what the entity is, just makes it it makes it scarier. So do you guys prefer horror movies that explain everything, or that leave it a little mysterious?
It's like a psychological horror movie.
Like thriller. Yeah. And sorry, Coco is.
But although we weren't planning on seeing this, it ended up being a pretty decent movie. It wasn't bad. It was a decent movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah. And I mean, it ended up with a twist. But it's always something about people going somewhere they don't need to be and stuff happening to them that shouldn't happen.
When the dude said we gotta go home, he should just went home.
And she was gonna go back out there by herself, but why should two die instead of one? Anyway.
What's the name say? Scary movie. Yeah, but it only been you. If you just it's only been you.
Right. So next up, we have number 3, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Originally, we saw the preview for this. They showed it a lot, but when James was talking about it, I was like, I don't want to see The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, she was thinking it was the one like that, but this is totally different.
Yeah, but I did actually want to see this. We had this was not your typical classic Mummy.
Yeah, this one like The Mummy.
This was like a straight up nightmare.
Yeah,
because it starts out with this lady and her, spoiler alert, her kids and a gentleman, they're driving in the car, and it just shows some pretty terrible stuff happening. They're checking this tomb or whatever, and to make sure the thing is still in there.
That's what I just couldn't remember. I wonder if that tomb, because you got to sacrifice somebody, was that a family member they had in there from the get-go? Because you remember it was haunting their family. That's why they had to keep doing that.
Well, I don't think that was a family member, because they would have had to get somebody else that was in the family.
I mean, they started doing that with the young girl.
No, but I think that they was just picking,
anybody.
Yeah.
But that was like the first time it had happened.
No, it couldn't have been the first time it had happened, because they were used to doing it. They wouldn't have known what to do. So they had to find someone, and you had this family that's over in this other country.
Yeah.
I can't remember where they in Egypt
or Eastern. Yeah, I think it was Egypt.
And the little girl actually ends up getting kidnapped. And basically
that's because
they have to.
You remember the guy was he was trying to get back to New York. He was a newscaster guy.
The dad.
Yeah, he was trying to get a job in New York.
Yeah, but anyway, the little girl ends up getting kidnapped, and they end up leaving Egypt and coming back to like New Mexico, whatever, living with the grandma.
They were supposed to go to New York, but when the girl got kidnapped, he had got the job in New York. They was gonna go to New Mexico, but he ended up getting the job in New York. But then she got kidnapped, so they had to go to. They just went to New Mexico.
They went to New Mexico and ended up living with the grandmother back in the house that they were living in before. And they preserved, the little girl's name was Katie. They kept Katie's room the way it was. And they ended up, the grandmother had like a humongous house. Mm. And I am sorry, I don't know why. I do know why Coco is barking, because somebody's in the garage. But the grandmother had a humongous house, and they ended up just living with her. That wasn't the plan. Like James said, the plan was to go to New York, but the little girl got kidnapped. And it's 8 years later. The mom was pregnant. They had another little girl.
On the way.
And they had a son, and they were, living their lives, doing their thing. And they get a call saying, hey, well, actually a plane ends up going down.
Yeah. And that tomb thing fell out.
And 2 guys end up dying in the tomb. Yes. And then they were investigating what it was, and come to find out it was Katie. Yeah. So they called them and say, hey, well, we found your daughter. And so for me, if we would have walked up in there and
like that, I'm like, man, we can't take her.
First of all, that is our daughter, but the level of care that she requires, we're not going to be able to take her to the house like that. We're going to have to, get some oil and prayer down and all this stuff.
Somebody just rather keep her. We have to go visit her.
The problem she had was spiritual.
Yeah.
She was possessed.
And even the way she looked.
It was just absolutely horrific. Yeah. So they end up taking Katie home. And now we have the dad, we have the grandmother, we have the 8-year-old little girl, and we have the teenage brother. So Katie's looking bad. The mom and everybody in the room, and the grandma, she's like, I guess Catholic. She's in there with a rosary. She's praying over the little girl, all this stuff. Everybody's around. And when the grandmother says, amen, Katie headbutts and basically breaks a nose. And I'm like, okay, see, that's strike one. Katie's out of here. Because, see, first of all, that lets you know she was okay till they started the praying. Mm-hmm. Katie has a demon. So several. Yeah. But they just, okay, well, we're just going to wash this under the rug and put it under the rug. And I mean,
and then they had a little in their house. They had a little area where you can go crawl all through the house, all through the walls. And Katie loved going through there.
And she was just like traveling through the first night she was going through the walls, and they found her trying to eat a scorpion. And I mean, spoiler alert, this movie was crazy. And so they get Katie. Katie is like, she's possessed. Yeah. She has this spirit. I forgot the name of she had some kind of demonic spirit that was in her. And when they actually had taken Katie, they had basically when she was wrapped up, she was actually wrapped up with scripture that was meant to hold that demonic thing in. But they didn't know. And the scriptures was keeping the demon trapped. Yeah. So of course, after a while, the dad's like, "Yo, she gotta go," you know. But the mom's like, "No, I can take care of her." The mom's a nurse. I can take care of her. But see, the mom didn't know that this problem she has is not physical. This thing is spiritual. So she's in there trying to do all this stuff, but you know what? Who ends up getting hurt? Grandma. Somehow the grandma's in there with her again. Grandma gets worse. And
Mama did too that time.
But not before. Back up. Not before she ends up possessing the little sister. She's calling her. Yeah. The little sister's scared to go to the bathroom because of Katie. Because they saw Katie the first night she came home acting like an animal. So instead of them, you know, sometimes you have to protect the people that's in the household. You know, it wasn't Katie's fault, but they needed to be protected from her. So the little sister ends up getting possessed. So then, the dad has to go to the school. Katie's tripping out, calling the teacher all kinds of names, acting crazy.
All kinds of stuff.
Yes, sorry, James. Yeah. Anyway.
That's what you go.
Yeah, but we can't, you know. But anyway, by the time they get back, the mom went downstairs because the water heater was having a problem. And Katie, again, working the grandma. The grandma's in there praying. She's closing the door to knock the false teeth out all on her. Next thing you know, the grandmother, spoiler alert, went through the window. They pulling up. She fell through the car. The little girl in the back seat, because she's possessed, she's laughing. And the grandmother ends up getting dragged and eaten by wolves in front of the daughter. Yeah. And Katie is just sitting there laughing. And so, you've seen all this. You know, the mom just didn't happen to fall out the window and her teeth under the bed. So they got Katie like strapped up in the wheelchair in the room. Like that's going to help. And the grandmother at the funeral, the body is in the house. The little girl is possessed, pulling out teeth, acting crazy. Katie is
pulling all her teeth out.
She's doing something to the floor. She falls on the grandmother's body, and it's just crazy. The grandma falls out the casket of whatever that fluid is. What is it?
Vomit fluid.
And she licking it up. It's just going.
But you remember the little girl pulled the grandma's, when they embalmed.
Oh, the little girl had went and
pulled the thread out and took her teeth out
and had them in her mouth. It was she had bit the priest.
Yeah.
It was just so crazy, and it was just a mess. And then Katie ends up possessing a little boy, but actually, it was a female cop that was over in Egypt. She was working on the case with them, and she ends up coming over, and they end up
because they want to know what actually happened.
She found the tape. She found out what happened to Katie, and she bought it and showed it to him. And the dad ended up sacrificing himself. They got the demon out of Katie, put it in him. But at the end, it looks like they was taking it to the person who inflicted the curse.
And because Katie was okay after they did that, and they took it.
Yeah, but
took it to her.
When I saw this movie and then I, watched it again, I was like, okay, this was like graphic grossness. But I mean, it was Evil Dead Rise to the third power.
Yeah, but this is more serious. Evil Dead.
But it was definitely emotional because it makes you question, like, if this is your child. But there's certain things that that looking at this girl, that was a spiritual problem. But
Katie looked crazy.
Yes, but
I was drooping the dog.
Okay, hurt. If you saw this movie, you saw that child, you would know this. Yeah, it's not Katie.
You saying Katie?
It's not Katie. So but it was something else. So number 4, the last movie that we saw in April, the best movie that I can say that I saw all year. We actually took our we went on a family date to see this movie, and our son actually went to go see it twice. We could have went to see it twice, but we have to see other movies to do our reviews. But of course, it was Michael, and I will tell you guys.
So if you ain't see it, go see it.
This was not just a movie. This was an experience. It was emotional from the beginning to the end. You could see Michael's life, the good parts, the best parts. You can see not the best parts for him, but you can see from Jackson 5 to Thriller to the Pepsi accident. It was so much. We were in the theater. We were singing. We was feeling it. I mean, what's the young man's name? Jafar. He did such a great job playing his uncle. Oh my gosh. It was like I was experiencing Michael Jackson again. I'm going to tell you guys, I had the Michael Jackson red coat. My cousin Tarvis had the black coat. It was like reliving those days, the good times.
Jaffa played Mike good too.
Yes,
he did a real good job.
And the gentleman that played Joe Jackson, he did it good too. Now that was hard to watch.
Coleman
Joe, Coleman, you
I say this, I don't know if they made that movie if Joe was still living.
I don't think so.
I don't know if they made it.
But you could see greatness and pain at the same time. And I don't care what anyone says, they will not diminish my memory of Michael Jackson. This is why we should give people their flowers while they're alive. And people just want to tear his legacy down. You will never tear Mike's legacy down. Yes, and just like Teddy Riley said, Michael was a good human. He cared about people. He cared about people. So you saw the Jackson 5 rise to fame, him firing Joe. I mean, it was just so sad to see a little boy with so much talent, but he wasn't allowed to be a child. And you see the love that he had for his mom.
He would watch out the window, watch the little kids playing outside, but he couldn't do it because, Joe had him.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Practice.
You saw the love that he had for his mom. You saw the love that this man had for animals. Michael Jackson wasn't a regular person. Yeah. He wasn't ever allowed to have a childhood. I don't know why people don't get it. But I do know this, that when Michael started making that money, Michael probably should have got his own place because Joe wasn't playing it. And I couldn't come home and you got a snake in the house. Michael, no, that's too much. You got a giraffe outside. But you know what? Michael's paying the bills. And they said the one who has the gold makes the rules. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he was still scared of Joe.
The Jackson 5 wouldn't have been Jackson 5 if it weren't for Joe.
No, they sure wouldn't.
He did push him.
They sure wouldn't. And I tell you this, though.
It might have messed Mike up as a child, but it shows you the cost of greatness.
And
he definitely became the greatest performer ever.
And I'm telling you, from him having to fire Joe, he got the guy, can you fire Joe?
Yeah, he talked about all this
Joe,
stuff he was gonna do.
And went and snuck and got
to it. He told so more to do.
You saw when he snuck and got those nose surgeries.
Yeah.
And then he was telling Joe this and that Joe was something else. But you saw him recording Thriller, and you saw how he when they were was that Thriller when he was saying your butt is mine?
Yeah, your butt is mine.
Yeah, you saw how recording Thriller and how he brought the gangs together. Michael Jackson, I don't care from the hardest person in this world to the softest person. These people, everybody loved Michael. So you actually saw how MTV refused to play black artists, and they had to threaten to take their his he
was gonna take Springsteen and all them off his other artists off if he didn't put them on there.
Because see, in my generation, and when we had like Yo MTV Raps, and we had what was MTV? That on BET, we had the Rap City and all that other stuff. But before when I was younger, I remember watching Friday night videos, and you had to watch all these other videos. Now, we loved all music, for real, but you had to watch all these videos just to see maybe one or two black artists. I remember those times. So it wasn't like, it's always been the way it is now. So there's certain artists that paved the way, and Michael is definitely one of them. And I actually remember that Pepsi commercial
Yeah.
I remember him getting burnt, but I didn't know the backstory behind it. That little cricket Joe was working with that cricket Don King.
Yeah, he told Don King and Don King first question was, is Mike? Yeah, but is Mike going to be there?
And this is the thing, that Mike cares so much about his family, that even though he didn't want to do it, no, his family, period, because they needed that money. He still was still willing to go do something he didn't want to do for his family, and he did it. And look what happened to him. He ended up getting burnt, and that's probably how he developed the addiction to those painkillers. And even then, when he got burnt, they don't talk about this. They're talking about, oh, we're gonna make a docu-series about Michael Jackson's court. Whatever. Even when he got burnt, he dedicated all the money to
proceeds
the kids. And he would go visit the kids in the burn unit. Come on now, people, leave this man alone. And I mean, Michael was a man, and any person, none of us are perfect except for Jesus Christ. And everybody's going to make mistakes, but they don't say anything about all these other artists when they're gone, but they want to, but it's all good, because you won't diminish his greatness in our eyes. You know, everybody is mad because how successful this movie is, but everybody loved Michael. So you just saw how he changed music videos forever. Michael used to tell stories. And his
Michael videos,
we couldn't wait.
Many movies.
Michael video premiering. I remember we were younger. We couldn't wait to see.
On MTV, waiting for MTV when they say they're gonna have Michael Jackson premiere video. You just like I said, it was a mini movie.
But one thing this movie reminds you is that fame doesn't protect people from pain.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie actually had heart. I will tell anybody, this wasn't just a movie; it was an experience. Everybody that I know that has seen this movie, we was in there singing, we was clapping. You know, it felt like I was at a concert. Yeah. I mean, it just brought back all kind of great
definitely the best
memories.
Movie I saw this year.
Hands down. This movie had heart, and it just brought me back to all, you know, growing up watching Michael Jackson. It was just such a great experience. And you know, I know that they're going to make another one, but I don't think that it won't. I don't know if they actually. I just think that it's just like when they make these trilogies. I don't think that they could top the success of the first one. And I just think that this was a great movie. I'm glad they did it. At first, when I saw the preview, we would see it because we go to the movies every Tuesday. And I said, they know they're doing too much. I'm not going to, man, please. You forgot all about that when you saw that movie. It's great. I cannot tell you enough how great this movie is. It's an experience. We loved it. So if you have not seen it, go check it out. And it's going to make you, if you're our age, relive those moments. It's like seeing Michael again.
Well, shoot, even our youngest son loved it.
Yes. And it's funny how...
And we also going to do a video with them.
Yes.
Tell their experience.
It's funny how everybody is acting like, hey, Michael's been great. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Michael's been great. So our rankings.
Yeah, we're about to rank these movies for April. So. Yeah.
So number 4 for me will probably, these were some great movies in April, but number 4 will probably have to be The Hunting of Matthew Nichols. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. It could have been better, but what's your number 4?
I'll say that too, number 4.
And then I'm going to have to go with number 3 for me. Is going to have to be Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It was a good movie. It was just graphic for me, and it was just a lot.
That was a pretty good horror movie. I can't put it number 3. I got to put Project Hail Mary number 3 for me.
Well, number 2, I'm going to put Project Hail Mary because I thought that was a good movie. We had Ryan Gosling, and I probably would have said The Mummy, but The Mummy had a lot. It was a lot. It was very graphic. So what's your number 2?
So, number 2 for me is The Mummy because number 1 is Eat It.
Yes, Michael. That was number 1. That's probably going to be number 1 on our yearly review, but that was number 1.
Yeah, it's a great candidate for number 1 for this year.
Yeah, so now it's your turn. Which movie would you rank number 1? And which movies are we completely wrong about? Drop your rankings in the comments and let us know because we actually read them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And we'll see you at the next movie review. And even better than that, is there a movie that you'd like us to review? Drop it in the comments. Yeah. But thank you for watching. Take care and be blessed.
Oops.